Live from WXOU at Oakland University, it's the GioMoShow. Now, give it up for your host, GioMoSherry.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, right here on 88.3 FM, WXOU's back studio. Here where we usually do our interviews, but relegated back here for today. Hope you guys don't mind the change of scenery. I sure don't. My name is GioMoSherry. I'm the host of the GioMoShow, and the GioMoShow is your home for all Oakland sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. Don't forget to follow WXOU on our MAB award-winning social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can find it all on our website, WXOU.org. Total package for the places to be. Another place to be is WXOU Sports on YouTube. We got our YouTube page dedicated to solely all of our sports content, our broadcasts, our interviews, our highlights. Everything you need from your favorite college radio station could be found on WXOU Sports. And finally, if you want to get to know me, if you want to follow, if you want to get involved and interact with your host here and your favorite show, then the GioMoShow on Instagram is the place to be. Twitter is at GioMoSherry WXOU, and you can use the hashtag #TheGioMoShow to stay connected and stay involved with your favorite podcast and radio show about the Golden Grizzlies and beyond. And for our summer series, we continue into, I believe, part 5. Part 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 5 as part of our season reviews that we do throughout the summer to take a look back at previous seasons for the Golden Grizzlies in each sport. We covered men's soccer, women's soccer, volleyball, track and field and cross country, and today we get to the pool. Today we get to Oakland University swim and dive, the historically most successful program that the school has to offer. We finally get to touch on them in what is one of my favorite sports in all of the world, especially with the Olympics coming up. I'm particularly excited to be able to talk about it. Oakland University involved in some of the Olympic events as well. We'll get into that in a little bit. So that'll be our first season review to start us off here on the show. We'll also go into week, I believe, 7 of the USPBL, getting into All-Star Weekend as a home run derby, as well as the All-Star Game will be taking place this Friday at Jimmy John's Field. And you can expect your favorite radio host to be on site as well. So we'll go over this past week of the USPBL and how my Hoppers are kind of getting chased at by the tail. Teams are starting to catch up with them a little bit, so we'll talk about it. And we'll wrap it up just kind of like we did last week with Euro Cup, Copa America, kind of big national soccer kind of coverage here. Is I have terrible news to deliver for Americans as well as Italians, and especially for myself as an Italian American. I have some horrible news to share with you in regards of the global soccer stage. So we'll share all that right here on the GioMoShow. But first, a message from our friends. Before we get back to the show, let me tell you about Bart's Pizza. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels. I'm talking a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and Facebook and Instagram as well at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, so you know he knows what he's doing. Make sure to grab a cannoli as well while you're there. Bart's Pizza, it's too good. And don't forget to check out my interview with former sports director WXOU, Ben Schrader, as he sat on that couch right there, as I sat on that couch right there, and we talked shop about here at WXOU, how we started WXOU Sports in the post-COVID era, as well as we talked shop about the NHL. Now, I don't know a lot about hockey, but Ben sure does, and he gave me the whole rundown as to this past season for the NHL and the Stanley Cup Final, as well as running down the Red Wings. And this was recorded before free agency open, but what I wanted to know was, what did I miss over this past Red Wings season, how we came so close to the playoffs and how it slipped away, garbage patch, the kind of superstition behind all that. So we talk a whole lot about it. So be sure to go and check out my interview, my conversation with Ben Schrader down in the description below, as well as on the YouTube channel. Another reason to subscribe, because we got so many interviews coming up, and I can't wait to share But let's get things started with the show here. Let's talk about Oakland University swim and dive. Their past season was another successful one, and especially we covered a couple of weeks ago their trip to the Olympic trials. It's been a great season for the Golden Grizzlies. And if you guys aren't familiar with kind of how this season started, well, it kind of started with the end of the super, historic career of head coach Pete Hovland, retiring after last season, leaving the promotion to head coach position to former assistant coach Mitch Alters. He was the one who filled in the shoes for Pete Hovland, and now Pete didn't go away totally. He was able to stick around for some drill work kind of throughout the season. He didn't totally leave after 40 plus years, I think even 45 plus years at the helm for the Golden Grizzlies, or at least at some capacity. But for all intents and purposes, he was retired from the head coaching spot. And Oakland University was riding on a 45-year streak of conference championships for the men, a 29-year streak of conference championships for the women. So Mitch Alters, being with the program, being part of some of those championships with Oakland University as a swimmer, as an assistant coach, and now he gets the head coaching position to try and continue a streak that you couldn't possibly, the pressure was on to be able to keep that streak going. There are lifetimes of championships there, and Mitch Alters was responsible for keeping that going. And kind of meeting him in passing here and there, and I talked to both Ian Allen and Jordan Ships, both of which went to the Olympic trials, by the way. I talked to them kind of during last off season, not only about their careers and about what they're looking forward to for this season, but I asked them about Pete's retirement, at least at the time of my interview with Ian. That was last March, and I talked to Jordan Ships around last August, talking about what does Mitch bring to the table? Are traditions going to be changed? What happens when a new head coach comes in after 45 years of consistency? So I've talked to all of them about it. You can find those interviews in the description as well. But they were nothing but optimistic, and of course very sad that Pete had to go. But everyone was happy for him, and he gets more time to go fishing and all that kind of stuff. A well-deserved retirement, no doubt. But the swimmers from those two being the example were excited for Mitch to be able to get to this position, and excited to see what what kind of new things he brings, because he can't keep it the exact same. You got to be able to change certain things, kind of update and kind of get with the times, change your strategy a little bit, and maybe focus on different things, emphasis on different things. And through all of it, I was told that he is going to maintain that tradition. For the most part, obviously, Mitch Alters was part of that tradition. He was a swimmer, and I went through it before, but he was going to keep as much of the tradition as possible, but he's going to bring his own twist. And luckily for the Golden Grizzlies, that ended this past season ended with a continuation of those championships. The streak now continues to 46 years for the men, to 30 for the women in terms of conference championships. This one, like last year, got a little bit dicey, got a little bit close at the end of it, but by the end of it, the Golden Grizzlies were shown nothing but gold medals, first place finishes, and just all the bells and whistles that comes with the conference championship. Mitch Alters got to jump into the pool as a head coach conference champion, as well as everyone getting a full fistful of conference championship rings. Have you seen those things? Ian always likes to show me them. I talking to him a little bit, I get the fist bump and I get the giant smashing of diamonds and jewelry on my knuckles. Dude's got a freaking fist of metal, man. It is so awesome to see, and now they get to add another one to the trophy case. This one with many first place finishes. We won't go over all of them, but the highlights of it as listed on GoldenGrizzlies.com. First place in the women's 200 back and the men's So we'll go over it in first place finishes. 200 back, men and women got it. 100 free, men and women got that. 200 breast, women got first place, men got second place. 200 fly, both first place. 400 free relay, both teams got first. And I would be wasting all of your guys' time if I was to give you guys the names and the times of every event. Because as much as I love the sport of swimming, that is just word and number soup, dude. That is won't make it well to the podcast. But for the final standings, Oakland first place for the men, 876 points. IUPUI below them with 808 points by the end of it. Women was an even wider margin, 909.5 points for the women for their finishing standings. Second place was Milwaukee with 690.5. So round up, rounding down 250-point margin for the women, and men a 70-some point margin as well. You guys could correct me in the math down below, but that will end. So for the final standings of the season, you can say final stats. The men had 4 swimmers finish with over 10 wins in this season. Christian Bart leading it with 20. The women was led by Jordan Ships, 19 wins throughout the season. That meaning first place finishes, obviously, in whatever events that they have. And I'm sure there were days where they got multiple in the same day, as Jordan Ships leading that one. For the women in terms of wins. But that's where the conference season ends. But that doesn't mean that the season itself ends for the Golden Grizzlies. And that's kind of where it is. I'll give a similar explanation as I did last week for track and field and cross country. It all leads up to what you do in the conference championships in terms of just how fast you are on that day, because that's the biggest meet. That's the one that matters. But there are other meets that go above and beyond the grade of the Horizon League, that including NCAA championships. That includes the, let me try to get this acronym, CSCAANIC, which National Invitational Championship, which is the just about the biggest meet that Oakland has every season. They were able to finish the men in 4th place and the women in 16th place in that spot. Just about even, or if not better, than they had last year. So the change of coaching had no pain in that sense for the NIA meet. But then we get over further into the season as the Golden Grizzlies had 4 qualifiers for the Olympic trials. Now, I did a segment on that a couple of weeks ago when it was officially announced, and we go more into detail of that. But, and especially with the Olympics coming up, I want to reemphasize this, that just given the opportunity to compete for a spot on the Olympic team, there is no better, higher, more prestigious place to be as a swimmer than the Olympics. Anything to do with the Olympics, trials, juniors, whatever it is, the Olympics is the highest level of swimming. And we have 4 Golden Grizzlies give themselves a chance to get on that team. Jordan Ships, Ian Allen, Christian Bart, and Alex Lankin. Alex Lankin got in just, basically at the deadline. It's a constant pursuit to get these qualifying times. And even looking through the Horizon, like I did look through a little bit of the Horizon League swim and dive results, there were a lot of events after the official ones simply for time trials, simply for athletes to give themselves that one last chance to qualify. Because all you have to do is swim the time wherever, as long as it's regulated and officiated and there's witness to it. All you have to do is swim and do it and get it. Doesn't matter the audience, doesn't matter the stage or whether it's televised or covered. If you get it, you're in. And that brought 4 Golden Grizzlies to Lucas Oil Stadium, the first and biggest swim meet ever held in a football stadium. They literally could, Lucas Oil Stadium, the one that Indianapolis Colts compete in the NFL. And there's beautiful videos of the construction of it, but they basically built on top of it the depth of the pool filled it in and made the pool deck and everything, the scoreboard, and the big display coming down in the middle. I believe it was like 20,000 in attendance throughout the week. It was the biggest swimming event in the nation's history. Speaking in non-specific superlatives, okay, I don't know the history of the entire thing, but it was such a spectacle to be able to see the Olympic trials, how it was made and covered, and having some Golden Grizzlies have some black and gold in the pool too. It was just so amazing to see swimming on a stage like that. I myself, being a swimmer, I'm rocking the Dakota Cougar 2020 Macomb County Championship shirt, of which I was a part of. First one in Oakland, in Dakota history in 20 years. So, I mean, my background in swimming, naturally gives me a bigger emphasis, bias, fandom, whatever you want to call it. I love swimming because I know it and I understand it, and I loved it when I was doing it. I only got to county cut level in my 4 years of high school. But, for all these swimmers to get to, because let me lay it out for you guys, at least from my view, in terms of how fast these swimmers are. Because no one and no one's fault, but you see a time, let me just pull one up here from the Horizon League meet. If I tell you that Harry Nicholson swam 1:42.64 in the 200 back, does that mean anything to you listening to it, watching it? No, it doesn't. If I told you that in the 100 free, Christian Bark going 43.16, does that mean anything to you? No, because you don't have a reference for swimming times. That's okay. Let me kind of break it down for you guys as to how fast these swimmers are. So in Michigan, in high school, from my experience, there's the county cut that allows you to compete in the county championship. Every county's got different times because of relative level of speed. For example, Oakland County is a lot faster than Macomb County. So the ones that I qualified for, maybe I wouldn't have qualified if I was in Oakland County. But you got the county cut. You got then the MISCA cut, which is Michigan Swimming Association or something. I don't know the acronym because I was never there. But there's the MISCA cut. Then there's the state cut that allows you to compete in all these levels of meets. State cut is just about the highest level that you get. And then you get to junior Olympic cuts. Then you get to, it scales up from there. And for me, I would like to represent myself as more of a civilian level swimmer. I just got county cut, but these swimmers, Olympic trials. Now, it doesn't matter how old you are when you make it. There's some 17-year-olds that were at the meet. But think about how many cuts that they had to make throughout their journey, throughout their lives. These swimmers have been doing it for their entire lives. And they've been able to climb that ladder to get to the highest point. I want you guys to feel that gravity. I want you guys to understand that and try and bring this to a level that you can understand. They're fast. They are amazingly lifetime fast. And it was fun to see them. I was unfortunate I wasn't able to see them directly swim just because they were watching on TV. It was tough to find out when each event was coming up. But either way, congratulations to all the swimmers that were able to compete in there, and congratulations to all those that aided in the Horizon League Championship for the Golden Grizzlies. Congratulations to Mitch Alters, not only on getting the head coaching job, but to proving to be able to continue the legacy of Swim and Dive. Hope to get you or some of the swimmers onto the show soon so we could really talk shop about it and kind of have you guys, give you guys a firsthand understanding of everything. So that's all been fun. That's going to wrap up our kind of offhand Swim and Dive recap for the Golden Grizzlies. We just continue to kick ass, dude. I don't know what else you want. Whenever we're in a conference, we win it. That's just what the history says. And nothing I can do about it. Sorry, everybody. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the swim and dive portion of the show. Coming up next after this break, we are going to go into the USPBL this past week, the 4 games, and why my Hoppers are starting to slip. They're still in first, but they're starting to slip. We'll talk about it in a minute here on the GioMoShow. Welcome back, everybody, here to the GioMoShow. We just got done talking about Oakland University swim and dive, so you can rewind to watch that right here on YouTube or wherever you're listening to on your podcast platform here. We now get into the Beyond portion of the show. As if you remember, the GioMoShow is your home for Oakland sports and beyond. Welcome to the Beyond portion as we cover the USPBL here every single week on the GioMoShow. We're now into week, I believe, 7 as we're getting into All-Star Weekend. That's going to be going on Friday. And so far, the way it's been going, my Hoppers have maintained first place for most of the season so far, but it's starting to get close. It's getting dicey. Where we are 1/2 a game away from dropping from first place. And we'll give you the details here. There was 4 games played this week, none on Sunday. So it was just a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday doubleheader that was played at Jimmy John's Field. And we start off with the Mammoths and the Unicorns. This one, played on Thursday, will remain scoreless all the way until the bottom of the 3rd inning, in which the Unicorns, they got the lead. And then they kept going and going and going to the tune of 6 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning to give them a 6-0 lead after the first third. The Mammoths would respond. They would wake up. The bats would start flying. They would get a run in the 4th, and they would get 4 in the 5th to close it to just a 1-run game. But throughout that stretch, the Unicorns got a couple of runs as well, 1 in each inning. So we're now at an 8-6 game after 5 innings. We continue going and going scoreless until the game was called in the bottom of the 8th. And the reason for such, I'm not entirely certain of, but there's an X in the bottom of the 8th inning and no more innings on the box score. So as it stood, or rather it was an 8-5 game, rather, mental math, excuse me. And that's where it would end after 8 innings as the Unicorns would take that win with chunk runs, 8-5 over the Mammoths to start off the week. Stats overall for that game, it was Francis Florentino for the Mammoths that got the bats moving. He was 2 for 3 with a run and 2 RBIs. But for the Unicorn side, it was Andre Dimitrov who went 2 for 4 with 2 runs and an RBI, and then Cam Farrar, 2 for 4, 1 and 1 for runs and RBIs. So then the Unicorns continue. They play on Friday against the struggling Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. The Beavers who only have 3 wins so far after 7 weeks of play. This one was a fireworks show to start off, almost right away, as there would be 5 home runs hit in this game to the tune of 9 total runs between the two teams. And it wasn't just the Unicorns that were doing it either. It was the Unicorns that started off in the top of the first inning with 2 runs to get the 2-0 lead, but it would be a Joe Burke home run for the Beavers that would get them the lead. 3 runs off the single bat of Joe Burke, former Hopper. Don't worry, no hard feelings, Joe, but that would then get the Beavers the lead after the first inning. They would shut out the Unicorns in the top of the second and then add another 3 in that bottom of the second inning. So now they're up 6-2 over the Unicorns after 2 innings. But that's when the Unicorns got back into action, got back into their groove. 5 runs in the top of the third to give them a 7-6 lead. And then they would add on to it in the 4th, another 3 runs. That would then give them a 10-6 lead. They continued to hold the Beavers scoreless, adding another 2 in the 6th and another 2 in the 8th, allowing only 1 in the bottom of the 8th, finishing up the game a 14-7 win over the Beavers. And like I said, 5 home runs, 9 total runs off of said home runs. And final stats, we'll go with the Beavers first. It was Matthew Piotrowski who did his job. He went 2 for 2, 2 runs and 2 RBIs, 2s all across the board. Joe Burke with the home run, he was 1 for 4, but that hit got him a home run. 3 RBIs and a run on the stat sheet. And then Pablo Ruiz went 3 for 4 with a run and an RBI. But to the high-scoring Unicorn side, they would have 2 batters that had 6 chances at it, as they were able to go through a few cycles in the batting order. Andre Dimetral, again, high-scoring batting performer, 3 for 6 with 2 runs and an RBI. Jared Weber would go 3 for 6, 2 runs and 4 RBIs. Tyler Shin would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs to total up for the 14-7 wins for the Unicorns. They now have 2 in a single weekend here. Haven't lost, never lost, said the Unicorns, as much as that hurts me to say as a Diamond Hoppers fan. But we continue now into the Saturday doubleheader, as the Mammoths would be the ones to take on my Frogs on Saturday for the final game played in the month of June. This one would be a lot lower scoring than we saw in the previous 2 games this week. It would start off with no runs scored all the way until the top of the 4th inning. In the top of the 4th inning, it would be the Mammoths to start off the scoring with 2 runs in the 4th inning, continuing to hold the Hoppers scoreless. They would add another 2 in the last inning, at top of the 6th, because they only play 6 in a doubleheader, to win that one 4-0. They shut out my Frogs, dude. I couldn't believe it. I kept looking at the box score, looking and looking for who got anything going. Hoppers had 2 hits the whole game. No runs. Nothing. Zilch. There's ants and flies coming out of the cabinet for hits and runs. And part of that would go to the Mammoths pitching. Got to give my flowers. 4.1 innings would go to Trey Cruz, as he would pitch 4.1 innings, only allowing those 2 hits with 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. And then Michael Esposito, 1.2 innings. He would finish the game out. No runs, no hits, and 1 batter walked with 2 strikeouts. So it looked like it was a good pitching performance for the Mammoths. Pierce Banks, for the Hoppers, he would pitch 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Not a bad performance from the 3-time pitcher of the week, Pierce Banks, but it just wasn't enough when the bats weren't going. It was Blake Valdiver that got the only 2 hits for the Hoppers, going 2 for 3, but no one else able to bring him back once he got the hits off. So game 1 would go to the Mammoths in a disappointing 4-0 win. But no worries, because we got the second game, right? Almost. So the second game of the doubleheader would also be a low-scoring event, even lower scoring in terms of total. Mammoths would start it off with a single run in the top of the first, and the Diamond Hoppers would respond to tie the game in the bottom of the second. And then a frost, a blizzard, and a freeze went over both teams, as no one else was able to score as the scoreboard stayed frozen, bringing us to sudden death. And now, for those who don't remember the rules of sudden death, they go this way. Teams will flip a coin as to who goes on offense and who goes on defense. The team who goes on offense will send their previous batter over to first base. Their job is to get that runner home within the 3 outs. If you get that runner home from first base, you as the offensive team win. If you as a defensive team get the 3 outs before that happens, you win the game. And that was the condition set. It would be the Mammoths on offense for sudden death. And looking at the play-by-play for that, it is not provided. I thought it was. Hold on, found it. So for that 7th extra inning, half inning, it would be Francis Florentino to pinch hit to bring home, trying to bring home Garback kick. Sorry about that. So it would be Florentino, the first one to try and get the bases moving, and he would, by getting hit by a pitch, moving him to first base, and Garback over to second. The following would be Fleming to single with a bunt, now loading the bases, getting Garback over to third. And then in the final batter, it would be Nick Pastor for the Mammoths, batting and batting and batting. He was walked. Moved the bases. Got the RBI. Garback goes to home plate. and scores to win the game for the Mammoths. So in total, Mammoths sweep the doubleheader against my Frogs. Hoppers hit 1 run, or bring in 1 run in 12 innings as they barely hold on to first place. Now I say this like I'm upset, and I say this like I'm in a bad mood. Well, that's because both of which are true. I've had a bad week in sports, and we'll talk about that in the soccer segment coming up, but for my Frogs, it's not looking good. As the standings currently stand, it is the Eastside Diamond Hoppers in first place, 12-7, but Utica is right behind them, also 12 wins, but 8 losses, making the difference. Westside Woolly Mammoths closing in, 10 wins, 7 losses. Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers out of the picture, 3-15 is their record. So teams, the top 3 are really starting to close in on my Hoppers, and we're going to have to turn it around after this All-Star week to get things moving here, because I want to stay froggy, and I believe in staying froggy. And I hope my Frogs do so as well. They've been playing like a championship team for most of the first half of the season. Ebbs and flows happen in baseball, I understand. I'm not saying it's all over. But I would prefer not to dip too far down in the standings here. So we got to pick it up. That's fine. That's fine. We got to sharpen the sword. Got to get your hops in. And we got to get ready to go for this upcoming week after All-Star break. So that will close it out here on the JoMo Show. In total, the Hoppers going 0 for 2. Meanwhile, the Unicorns and the Mammoths getting their 2 wins in this weekend. But luckily, the Beavers make us feel a little bit better with only a single loss for this weekend. So that'll close it out for the USPBL here on the JoMo Show. Coming up, our final segment will be little coverage, a little rant, a little speech on the state of Italian-American soccer. We'll talk about that right here on the JoMo Show. Welcome back here to the JoMo Show, right here on WXOU Sports. My name is Giovanni Moscieri. I didn't leave, and I'm still your host here for Oakland Sports and Beyond, and we continue into our final segment of the Beyond portion as we have the United States men's national team as well as the Italian men's national team not having some good luck over this past week, and it makes me as an Italian-American now becoming soccer fan, soccer media member, very upsetting, very frustrating, and honestly embarrassing. So we'll talk about that here. So I won't spend too much time on it just because I didn't take too many notes away from the match. It was Italy in the round of 16 of the Euro Cup. So if you remember last week, I talked about how we escaped the jaws we escaped the jaws of defeat with a 97th minute goal to tie against Croatia in the group stages to qualify for the round of 16. Our opponent in the round of 16 was Switzerland. And I wasn't totally sure as to how Switzerland stacked up against the rest of the Euro Cup, but I know Italy has been struggling, and I knew that it was going to be tough. It was going to be a tough grind trying to get all the way back to the finals, to the championship match like we were in the last time in 2021, I believe. It was supposed to be 2020, but either way, I was at a family reunion watching this one. We brought the TV and the hotspot, and you had all the Italians huddling around the very glared TV outside, and it was not good, man. Italy couldn't control the ball, couldn't do much, and it would be Switzerland that would just stack 2 on us, getting past one of my favorite soccer players, Gianluigi Donnarumma, the goalkeeper for Italy. I know I can't entirely make him not at fault. Let me rephrase that. I can't make him infallible in all this. But dude, he's good. He was the player of the tournament when Italy won it last time. Donnarumma is a dog, but he needs help, man. It was getting to a point where it's just Switzerland was all over us. We couldn't get the ball, and the dude was doing all he could, and ended up letting 2 of them in, as Switzerland would go on to win 2-0 over Italy, sending us packing. That was annoying. Luckily, the family reunion made things a little bit lighter, and I can, me and my family can all share our frustrations together. But man, we didn't qualify for the World Cup in I think 22, now we, barely got into the round of 16 in 2024, and it's like, come on, man. I mean, I know that the team is going through like some changes, of course, and not all the same players from the Euro Cup are on the Italian team, but dude, like, come on. It was frustrating. It was just like short passes that would get intercepted in our defending third, and they would just start right away back on offense. It's like, come on. It was really frustrating. But what was really, really frustrating, more so, I would say, than Italy, was the Copa America and the United States men's national team and how they performed in their group stages. They were grouped in with Bolivia, Panama, and Uruguay. It was a group that, based on the hype coming into it, based on the United States qualifying for the World Cup last time around, that this, quote, golden generation of American soccer would be able to at least get past the group stages and try and do something that has never been done before for United States soccer, which is, I don't know the boundary, but it was to get far and at least get to the knockout stages. That didn't happen. I don't know the results of the entire game, but let me lay down the situation for you guys, because I'm kind of going off the top of my head here. Let me lay down the situation coming into last night's game against Uruguay. It was the final group stage match, and the United States needed to win or tie on the condition of how Bolivia and Panama would play. Their games are going at the same time, so it was a little bit of changing conditions as the games went on. But if Bolivia were to beat or tie with Panama, the United States would would be second place in the group and be allowed to continue. That's how the group stages go. First two make it, and the best third place teams get to make it as well. For the Copa America, same rules as the Euro Cup. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but I think that's how it goes. So the only way to guarantee that the United States continues was to beat and win against Uruguay. Now, Uruguay's a good team, of course, but we're hosting. This is in Kansas City. This is at Arrowhead Stadium on a field, natural grass, a lot thinner than some usual ones. This one was, I believe, 70 meters wide. When at max you can have 90. But it was kind of a condensed field, and it felt like a hockey match, honestly. A hockey game going back and forth. The teams can just launch it end to end with one kick, and it was just constant motion and change of possession. It was kind of sloppy. But what didn't help at all, and this was a white-hot developing story as the game was going on, and it is now widely known throughout the world, that referee in that game was atrocious, was terrible, was any synonym to the word bad, and very bad. And I'm not saying it because I know any better, because I know how to ref games. I'm not saying it because I don't. I'm saying it based on what every other professional opinion said. The broadcast, not the halftime and postgame broadcast, not the team of four that talk about the game at a halftime and after. The play-by-play and color commentary were ripping this dude apart throughout the whole game because, yes, his calls were bad. And there were situations, multiple, that cost potential goals for and against the United States, in the United States. The referee had like 7 games under his belt of experience of like this level of soccer. 7. That's it. And he's the one reffing the host team in a match that, like all group stage matches, has immense implications. It's just because this one was at the end that it had immediate implications. But it was just so sloppily officiated. There was one moment. This one was the biggest, one of the biggest ones, was somewhere in the first half, I can't remember when, there was a yellow card, had right at midfield. Normally, a yellow card is given and there is stoppage of play. You pause to give the yellow card and to do the official stuff for it. Instead, he flashed the yellow in motion, and the play was still going. He let it keep going. No, you're supposed to stop. But he let the player just touch the ball with his hands, pass it, and keep going, and almost scored on basically an empty net. Just luckily, an American defender was there to kick it away. But right away, that almost directly cost a goal against the United States. It ends at 0-0 going into halftime, and the broadcast was just murdering this guy. The one guy, his opening statement was, "What is this guy's full name?" And it was like 7 names, like a Hispanic, Central American, like big name. And he's like, he uses his full name like a parent using their full name to get mad at their children. That's what they were doing. I'm like, whoa! I've never seen a broadcast so openly hating this referee, whether it's right or wrong. I thought as a broadcast, at least a play-by-play in color, usually you try and keep your opinion out of it. When it comes to the officiating, you let it be known. But they were just killing this dude, deservingly so. But yeah, that halftime they were killing him using his full name, and but the ending message was that the United States still hasn't been able to get a lot of shots off, and they are going to have to be the ones to win this game. That was, as bad as it was, the job still had to be done. And as we kept going into the second half, and I watched the whole thing, and it kept going and going. United States can't score, dude. United States could barely get a shot off. Part of it could have been the smaller field, sure, but Uruguay was playing in the same field. Like, you can't say that. And it was just constant hesitation on shots. You're in the box. The defenders are crowding. You wait too long. You get there, but you can't send it forward. You can't shoot it. And we kept going and going. And it got to the 66th minute where Uruguay had a nearby free kick. It was about like 30, 40 yards out. Or maybe even closer. But they get the free kick. And it comes over to the teams rushing towards the front of the net. Comes off a header. That header being saved by the United States. I'm hoping you guys can visualize this if you haven't seen the replay. But it goes from free kick to Uruguay header to the hands of United States keeper. He bounces it off right into a Uruguay player who shoots it again and scores. Now the United States, with so many minutes left, less than 30 to go, have to now score 2. But we're looking at the replay. There's video-assisted referees, VAR, where they go up to the booth and they take a look at the video and they review it to make sure it's okay. The broadcast is looking at the replay. Oh, brother, that dude was offside after the header. After the initial touch, from the head to the goalkeeper's hands, the dude was offside. I thought it was pretty clear. I guess I don't know whether they draw the line at like their fingertips or their feet or whatever has to cross the plane, but they're looking at the broadcast pretty convincing that it would be overturned and it would remain tied, and all the United States had to do was score 1. But they kept waiting and waiting. And the guy who couldn't do his job right, listening in, hold on, I got it. Oh, okay, hold on. Keep waiting and waiting for this result. They let it stand. Now we got to score 2 in like 24 minutes. And we kept looking at it. Eventually, we got like a clearer picture from the broadcast. The dude was offside. So another complete blunder by the officiating crew. But the story kept going that the United States couldn't score. They couldn't create opportunities, and the clock kept ticking down and down, and the eulogies were being written for the United States until finally the game was over with 5 minutes of stoppage time, and that was it. The United States is eliminated. Not only could we not tie in the event that Bolivia tied or beat Panama, but we couldn't even win it on our own and take it out of everyone else's hands. And you know what? Panama won 3-1, so we had to win anyway. We knew that kind of going into some of the second half. But we couldn't score at all. And somehow that level of play, that kind of falling flat on the face of a team that was so promising, completely shifted the narrative. No longer are people only talking about how terrible that ref is. People are very much talking about it, don't get me wrong. But somehow, and especially at like the conclusion of the broadcast, the post-game talk, it was no longer about the horrible referee. Narratively, he got bailed out because how bad the United States played. We bailed out one of the worst ref jobs that we've seen in a long time because we just sucked. The team was supposed to go far. The team was supposed to break new ground in a golden generation of American soccer. Couldn't even get out of group stages in a Copa America. Not even World Cup. Not even the biggest stage. It's Copa America. It's a big stage, but not the biggest. And we still couldn't do it. I was astounded as to that ended up being the narrative. Is that, yes, the referee was terrible, but you couldn't get one goal in 95 minutes. It is their fault. Now they're calling for the head of the head coach that I don't want to add on to. I don't know anything about Berhalter, the head coach of the men's national team. I don't know. But that's a conversation now. And every single interview after the game ended with giving themselves a chance to defend their coach, asking him whether he should be fired or not. Like, how do you ask that after a game to players who just lost? Like, hey, do you want to fire your coach? What are they going to say? I thought that was a dumb question too. Also referenced on the broadcast, but they were asking, how do you deal with the frustration of a referee? The players are like, yeah, that sucked. It was very frustrating. But they got to score. They know that. They knew it. But none of it matters because we lost. And now I got a Hoppers team who got swept in a doubleheader. I got an Italian team that couldn't make it out of round of 16. And I got a U.S. Nationals team that can't get out of group stages. This is proving to be a difficult summer. I'll be honest. From a fan perspective, obviously, all things considered. From a sports fan perspective, I'm getting hit everywhere here, man. Teams that just show up for this summer, the national teams, they come up and we're out. My only hope left is the Olympics. That the United States or Italy can do something cool. That the United States swimming or track and field or basketball. I need anything at this point, dude. I need these Olympics to be amazing. I need these Olympics to revive my spirit, to get the patriotism within me back. Because Lord knows the debate on Thursday did not, although it was hilarious. We won't talk about that here. However, a handicap of 6? I don't know about that. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious, but I'm in poor patriotic spirit right now, and I need the Olympics to get me back. I need this, man. I need this. I can't live like this. But anyway, that's going to close out here at the GioMoShow. Your host is having a hard time as a sports fan, but we continue chugging along. Next week, we will continue our season reviews to be announced via social media. What team will be our topic of the next show for the Oakland season reviews right here on the GioMoShow. Be sure to go and check out WXOU Sports. Like and subscribe to find your sports content. Be sure to go check out my interview with Ben Schrader and talking about the NHL and the Stanley Cup. Be sure to check out everything on social media. Like and subscribe and support the podcast however you can. Go follow those in the description, those who have supported this channel, and you can be one that supports the channel as well. So, we'll see you next week on the GioMoShow. My name is Giovanni Mosheri, and we thank you for stopping by. See ya!